here at Sandbox.
Sure.
Tell us your process for how you figure out what events you're going to have.
Yeah. So I'm Jessie. I'm one of the heads of Connie's Quantum Sandbox. For anybody not familiar, we have our cosplay repair station, we have our lab that does crafts all weekend, and then we have our classroom. And our classroom is the one that has the scheduled activities. You may have seen some of them throughout. They're listed as activities, things such as needle felting, bookbinding, Riker beards, a whole variety, right? And so part of what we do is people will come up to us during the con, like Riker Beards came from last year. Somebody came up to me and said, hey, I do this thing at parties, it's super funny, let's do that. And we say, absolutely, we love that idea, are you going to lead it? And, because that's part of it, right? Like, a lot of people have ideas, there's a lot of people in the sandbox, and, a lot of us are crafty, obviously, being in that room, but we don't all know all the skills, right? So having somebody that can come in and say, hey, this is a thing that I know how to do, and I would love to show other people how to do that thing. And so we have, from gluing yarn to a picture of Riker, right? That's not a super complicated thing, but it's an activity, it was fun, people had a great time, and so we have them, offer those ideas. We also accept panel submissions, so just like you can submit panel ideas electronically for programming, if it is a craft or activity related, it gets kicked over to us, and we look through and we decide things like, the feasibility, the cost, and, if we think it's something that would make sense in our room. And, we have some flexibility in that, but we usually plan for about 100 people, so sometimes we have to scale up, sometimes we have to think about, an activity for this many people is gonna be, easy, but if you do it for 100, all of a sudden that's a lot of supplies, whatever. And speaking of supplies, that's something we take care of, right? So a great example is the bookbinding. There's a lot that goes into bookbinding. There's special threads, special needles, special covers, that kind of thing. And so we are the ones that handle all that. So what we're looking for our activity leaders is the idea and the ability to walk other people through how to create that idea. So it could be complicated, it could be simple, but we work with you every step of the way. You'll get a lot of emails from me back and forth going, is this the paper? Is this the right pencils? And we help support you in making it happen. And we always make sure we have staff to help with the people in the room. But we need people that have the ideas of, I want to make a thing, I want to teach other people to make the thing. Can I use your space to do that? And we love to make that happen. I know you mentioned Discord, and you mentioned, you guys have your official form, and then they have that. We keep ours to an email. I mean, we do get the kickback from paneling or programming.
You borrow our form.
Yeah, we borrow their form, but we also allow people to submit directly to Sandbox at CONvergence-Con, because ours has so much back and forth of like, first of all, is it something you can teach, or do we need to find someone? And then we have to really rein in what is the specific craft, like what is the item we will make in that hour to 2 hours, like specifically. we have a tracking sheet where we write down every activity we've done and what year, and then that way we can look back. Like one of the things we said was, last year we weren't going to do Jedi robes, but then we had a guest of honor, come in to do it, and we're like, okay, well, we'll make an exception. But that was the first thing we said this year, was like, we've done Jedi robes almost every single year. It needs a break, right? And so one of the things we talk about is the same thing. Are they different? So like, for example, we did bookbinding. It packed. We hit our capacity. We had to tell people we're out of kits. And he did a very specific Egyptian Coptic bookbinding. And so we talked about the fact that, we do have our bookbinding supplies already. We have a lot of paper in our stash, and it was really, really popular. So that is something we would do again. However, is there a different style of bookbinding? And can we make, an easier version for people that maybe struggled with, that? And so we try to make sure that we're not repeating as well, or we at least take a year between. Unless it's something like our Monsters Bash and our Cardboard City, which would probably have riots if we did a host. And so we have a couple that
but the Minecraft blocks wouldn't survive.
Yeah, they would probably perish.
That isn't. I don't even participate, but it's very hard.
We have so many people that come in just to watch. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, no, it's not just for kids, I promise.